Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm sorry I can't see you, and I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but I'm thinking of you. Apologize for the technical snafu this morning, so we had to switch slightly. I appreciate everybody's forbearance. And I'm imagining just for the moment that we're back in our regular spot in the social hall in Or Torah, and we're at our U, and I'm looking here, and I'm looking there, and everyone's sitting, and this one has their cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and this one has their pen and their papers, and everybody has the sheets. So I'm imagining that we are Shanim Ketikunan, even though we're not. So I'm hoping that everybody is well. I'm thinking of you. This is a very unusual, difficult time for many, but it's also a time of opportunity. So the opportunity to come together and learn and to rededicate ourselves is ever present, certainly now. And this week is very exciting because we have, Baruch Hashem, two incredible evenings. We have Yom HaZikaron, please God, tomorrow night, and then Yom HaAtzmaut the following night. So I hope you'll all join us. The Kollel, together with many other organizations in the community. And this morning we begin a series, and it's unbelievable. It's almost overwhelming to think about this topic in this series, and that is the series on Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim is not just a city in Eretz Yisrael, it is the city in Eretz Yisrael. And for this year, we have spent so many weeks studying and visiting and thinking about different cities. Today, we begin a series on Yerushalayim, whereas in previous weeks, although we probably could have spent many weeks and months on each city, but we spent one week per city. But today, we begin a series on Yerushalayim because it's impossible. It's impossible to talk about Yerushalayim in 1 week. Even in a few weeks, it's going to be totally impossible. It's overwhelming. It's emotionally charged. There's so many aspects and dimensions that come to mind when we explore Yerushalayim that it's going to be very challenging. It's also very emotional. It's very personal. So many of us have stories and memories and connections to Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh. And we're going to just try to catch a glimpse, a shard of Yerushalayim, what it really means, because it's so far beyond us. But to the extent possible, we're going to try to create a meaningful connection to different aspects of this city, Ir Oz Lanu. Today, I wanted to begin our perspectives on Yerushalayim with one particular idea. And this idea I chose because I think it resonates with us in the circumstance that we are right now. Each year, when we conclude Yom Kippurim, when we finish at the zenith of this experience of Tahara before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of that closeness to the Almighty, we conclude with one phrase, L'shana haba Yerushalayim. And the same phrase appears at the end of the other most magical evening of the year, at least according to Rav Soloveitchik in his reflections. His memory of the two most magical, incredible evenings that we have on the Jewish calendar is the night of the Seder that we just experienced. L'shana haba Yerushalayim. Today, probably for the past 80, 90 years, it crept in the idea of Yerushalayim habenuyah, but that's more of a modern phenomenon. Traditionally, it was L'shana haba Yerushalayim. And this idea of permanence, that Yerushalayim is always there, that if we're not here this year, we'll go there next year. And if we're not there next year, we'll be there the following year. But we are committed and focused on coming back to Yerushalayim is a unique idea. And it's very powerful for right now, because right now we're in a time of uncertainty and for some it's fear, worry, anxiety, whatever it is for some people. And so coming back to this part of Yerushalayim, the Yerushalayim habenuyah, there's something that's fixed that we can hold on to, that we know we are going back to. We know it's always there for us. It's waiting for us. We're waiting for it. It's waiting for us. We're waiting for it. It's waiting for us. That permanent connection, that unbroken connection gives us strength, confidence, Oz. Where's that come from? What's it about? So for those who have it from the email, otherwise don't worry, I'll share it on the screen. We have a Rambam. The Rambam here is in Hilchos Beis HaBechira, Perek Vav, Halacha Tes Zayin. The Rambam tells us, "V'loma amin omer b'mikdash v'Yerushalayim kedusha rishona kitchel yasid lavo." The Rambam tells us that when it comes to Eretz Yisrael generally, the Gemara presents two opinions: a machlokas, whether or not kedushas mikdash and kedushas Eretz Yisrael, what's called Kidsha Rishona. We've spoken about this, that when the Jewish people came with Yehoshua and conquered the land, did that conquest invest kedusha in Eretz Yisrael that would be permanent? Or no? Kidsha l'shaita, for that moment, it was niskadish, it was sanctified, velo kidsha l'yasid lavo, but it was not sanctified on a permanent basis. That's a question. So the Rambam says that when it comes to the rest of Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel in general, we paskin, kedusha rishona, the first sanctity was lo kidsha l'yasid lavo. It was a kedusha that was invested because of conquest, and when that conquest was undone by Sancheiriv and later ultimately by the Babylonians, then the sanctity evaporated. The second settlement, Ezra, that was through Yishuv. Well, when that Yishuv was disbanded, when that settlement was lost, the Kedusha is gone. But the Rambam says that's not true for Yerushalayim and the Beis HaMikdash. V'lama ani omer b'mikdash v'Yerushalayim kedusha rishona kitchel yasid lavo. Why is it that my opinion, says the Rambam in the Yad HaChazaka here in the Mishnah Torah, he tells us that Yerushalayim and the Beis HaMikdash, they have eternal kedusha. It's kitchel yasid lavo. U'b'kedushas shar Eretz Yisrael inyan shvius u'maisus chayotzim, all kinds of other questions like shvius, like meiser, lo kitchel yasid lavo. Lefi shekedushas hamikdash v'Yerushalayim mipnei hashchina, because of the kedusha, the sanctity of Yerushalayim, is because of the Shechina. Ushchina eina betela. And the Shechina is not batel. The presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Beis HaMikdash and in Yerushalayim Bechlal, according to the Rambam, is never nullified. As he quotes a pasuk, "V'hari omer v'hashimosi es mikdashechem." God says, "Lo aleinu," in the time of Churban, in the time of the tochacha, of the corrections of the curses, "Lo aleinu," I will destroy your holy places. V'amru chachamim, the chachamim darshan the language here, that first it says, "I will destroy it," but then it says, "your holy places." So it sounds like they could still be holy after the destruction. V'amru chachamim, af al pi sheshomamin, even though they are destroyed, b'kedusha sanhein omdim. They will always be with kedusha. So part of the reason, perhaps, or one level of the reason, that we say Lashana Haba Yerushalayim, that Yerushalayim is a constant, it is something that never wavers. It is always there for us next year, and if not right now, don't worry, it's coming, it never disappears, it's always going to be there for us, it's fixed. It's because the Shechina in Yerushalayim is fixed. This is what the Medrash Tehillim tells us, see in source base. Amar Avacha li'olam eina Shechina zazim mikos l'maravi. Sheneimar hinei ze omer achar kos leinu. We go to the Kotel. Of course, there's some discussion about whether or not the Kotel today that we go to is the Kotel of the Azara of the inner sanctum, or the Kotel of the Harabayas, of the wall around the entire mountain of the Beis HaMikdash, which is generally the majority accepted opinion, which is why we go there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu never left. So on one level, it's the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu which is fixed, which gives us the confidence to say next year in Yerushalayim, because Yerushalayim is always there. It never left us. It's always there. But let's dig a little bit deeper. Where does this come from? Why is it? What is it about Yerushalayim, about the Shechina? There is something beneath this. There is a koach of Yerushalayim, of this idea that it never wavers, it's always there, it's always fixed, that we can tap into. So to think about this, I want to go back to my childhood. And as the Gemara says, I am Chala Bar Chamra. I'm embarrassed to say that I'm not living up to the standards of my parents, because growing up in our house, my father sang the Zmiros of his father, of our family from Galicia. And one of the Zmiros, which we sang at Shalashuris, is a Zemer called Kel Mistater. Kel Mistater b'shafar cheven aseichel kol rayon. I'm not going to go on to the whole thing. But unfortunately, right now, even though we're doing Shalashuris at home, usually I have Shalashuris in shul. Now we're doing Shalashuris at home. We haven't sung the Zemer yet, but I think maybe next Shabbos we should. Because in that Zemer, which is an anonymously authored piyut, a poem, a song, there is a line. Now I can tell you, I don't understand anything about this Zemer because it's super Kabbalistic. And this line also, whatever we can understand from it, we will. But understand that it's according to the secrets of Torah. But we'll try to understand it from our level. The Zemer tells us, from the right side and the left side, which I can't tell you on the screen what that looks like, but from my standpoint, this is right and this is left. So miyamin and mismol is the drawing, is the nourishment, are nurtured the prophets. Netzach v'hod behem nimtzaim. Netzach, which means eternal, and hod, which means splendor or reflection, are found in them. So there's the right side and the left side, the yamin and the small. There's netzach and hod, principles called netzach and hod, dominance and reflection, or splendor. Yachin u Boaz b'shem nikraim. These terms, the right and the left, the netzach and the hod, are called Yachin and Boaz. V'chol bonayich limudei Hashem. What does it mean that there are the right side and the left side? There are two sides, and there is the Yachin and the Boaz. Well, Yachin and Boaz are not just the commentary of the Mishnayos written by the Tiferes Yisrael, which is what some of you might be thinking, which is true. But Shlomo HaMelech, when he built the Beis HaMikdash, he built two columns. And this is the description here in source Dalet in Divrei Hayamim. Divrei Hayamim Beis Perek Gimel Pasuk Yud Zayin. Vayakim es ha'amudim al pnei ha'heichal. Shlomo HaMelech established pillars at the front of the heichal, of the sanctuary. Echad miyamin, one on the right side. Ve'echad mehasmol, one on the left side. Vayikra es hayamini, es hayamani Yachin, who he called the right one Yachin, v'shem hasmoli Boaz. So there are two pillars that Shlomo HaMelech built in the Beis HaMikdash, one on the right and one on the left. They're called Yachin and Boaz, and they represent, according to the Zemer, according to the tradition, Netzach and Hod. Now, we've talked about this sefer in the past. One of the milas of being quarantined in the office is that I could just pull it off the shelf. This book we mentioned in the past, Flames of Faith, an introduction to Chassidic thoughts from my teacher, my friend, an amazing person, Reb Zev Reichman, rabbi of the East Hill Synagogue in Englewood. So Rabbi Reichman has a description, an explanation of what Netzach and Hod are, because Netzach and Hod fit into a broader context of a pattern that we talked about, especially when we spoke about Tzfat, of energies, of avenues and pathways in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu pours his shefa, his sustenance, the light of Hashem, all the energy of the world into existence. And these are paralleled by themes, attitudes, experiences that we have within each one of us. These are the seven emanations, the seven energies, the seven qualities that we have that parallel the 7 days of the week, and the 7 musical notes, and the 7 colors of the rainbow. And then there are 3 more that are the elevated 3 spheros, the 3 attributes that are beyond this world. So even though there are 7 Canaanite nations, really Avraham Avinu was promised 10, but the other 3 that are in the upper world, those are for Yemos HaMashiach. Okay, now's not the time to go through all of them. But in this pattern of the 7 emanations, you have a structure, a geometric structure, where you have a pattern of right attributes and left attributes. Right attributes for example, Netzach, are dominant attributes. They are forceful. Hod, the left attributes, are more recessive, you could call them. They're more reflective. So, for example, on the right side, Avram Avinu, he's the dominant patriarch. He's out there building and stumping for HaKadosh Baruch Hu and creating and initiating. And Yitzchak is Gevura, he's restraint, he's receiving, he's nurturing, he's transmitting. Netzach is a dominant force. There are two ways to, let's say, imagine you're walking outside in a massive snowstorm. One way is to stand upright and power through and force yourself against the wind and the hail and the snow and just power through. The other way is to bend over, to lean over, so that you have less restriction, less friction, less blowback. The first one, you just overpower the storm. It's with your own sheer force and intensity that you dominate it. The other one is through modesty, it's through humility, it's through making yourself smaller that you've got less wind blowing at you and you're able to make it across that storm. Two different ways. One way is powerful, it's overwhelming, it's intense in terms of its vision and its scope and just overwhelmingness. And the other one is it's more modest, it's more quiet, it's more subtle. Each one of these has a place and is an essential aspect of the world and of our personal lives, of our connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shlomo HaMelech taught us that we need both. We need to have Netzach and Hod built into the Beis HaMikdash. And they represent something. Because if you look here in Rashi, Rashi says, why is it called Yachin? Yachin and Boaz, Yachin al Shem Malchus Beis David. Yachin is called Yachin because it reflects the concept of the kingdom, the house of Israel, the house of David specifically. The kingdom of David HaMelech, Shenimshal Yarech, which is like the moon, Kedechsiv, Keyareach Yikon Olam. So now, it's true that in one aspect, David HaMelech personally, David represents a different aspect that's called Malchus, not Netzach or Hod. But first of all, there are aspects of each one built into the other attributes. But in this context, it's more the Malchus, the kingdom in general, perhaps. And the Abarbanel explains that Yachin relates to David HaMelech, and Boaz relates to Shlomo HaMelech. David HaMelech was the conqueror. He was the visionary who saw the Beis HaMikdash. He was the architect of the Beis HaMikdash. He was the fundraiser of the Beis HaMikdash. According to Chazal, he got all the materials together. Shlomo HaMelech received it and executed it. So David HaMelech in this respect represents Netzach, the vision, the overwhelming intensity. He's the one who conquered Yerushalayim. He's the one who instills it with that permanence, like the Malchus Beis David, which is like the moon, ever present. And Shlomo HaMelech received it and nurtured it and cultivated it and brought it to fruition. This idea is captured in a little pamphlet that I have here. It's called The First 10 Days. It's by Rabbi Yaakov Haber from Torah Lab, from Ramat Beit Shemesh, where he talks about the concept of the spheres based on the 10 days of Tshuva, the Aseres Mei Tshuva. But what we're saying is, to try to understand it maybe on our level, is that David HaMelech and the Malchus Beis David represents something which is eternal. It is fixed. It is Yachin, it is Nachon. It is fixed, it's permanent. And that's why, if you look on the source sheet, the Mar Makomos, for those who have it, if you don't, I'll put it on the screen again. The Gemara tells us in Rosh Hashanah, David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam. In the context of the moon, we learn that even though the moon cycles in and out in different ways, it's always there. And when they were looking for a secret code to teach us about Kiddush HaChodesh, what we say at Kiddush Levana, we say Dava Melech Yisrael Chai B'Kayam. Because Netzach, eternity being fixed, that is Malchus Beis David. It's fixed. It's always there. It looks like it's hidden. It doesn't matter. But now we understand. We can bring it back to Yerushalayim, because the Gemara in Brachos here at source Vav tells us we learned in a Mishnah, in a teaching for Rabbi Akiva, Hashem Hagedula, the first of the seven, which we'll call Chesed, but we're not going to focus on today. Zukrias Yamsuf, V'Hagvura Zumakas Bechoros. So it's Avram, then it's Yitzchak, it's Gvuras Makas Bechoros. Tiferes Zumatan Torah, that's Yaakov. V'Hanetzach, Netzach is the fourth of our guests of the Ushpizin of Moshe Rabbeinu, but now we're saying it's also Malchus Beis David. V'Hanetzach Zu Yerushalayim, V'Ahod Zu Beis HaMikdash. Says the Gvuras Hashem, the Maharal, in the Hakdama to Gvuras Hashem, V'Omar, why does the Gemara say V'Hanetzach Zu Yerushalayim? It's Nikra Yerushalayim Ba'avur Shehi L'Nachalon Nitzchis, because Yerushalayim is for an eternal inheritance. Yerushalayim is Netzach. Yerushalayim is the seat of the Malchus Beis David, which is the Bechina and expression of Malchus, which is Netzach, in this respect. The Malchus of David is Netzach, it's always there. Even though Yerushalayim may be torn under, it may be razed or even plowed over by the Romans, still Netzach. You can't take it away. The Rambam says it's Kedusha La'asad Lavo. The Rambam's Kedusha La'asad Lavo is saying that the presence of the Shekhinah in Yerushalayim is expressing Netzach. It's expressing an unbroken chain from generation to generation that we always come back to. I have here a collection of photographs that was sold at, I don't have it on the screen. Oh, you know what? I think I can get it on the screen for you. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up for you. It was sold at Sotheby's years ago. Let's see. Hold on, no, not this. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get the pictures. Where is it? Hold on. Here it is. Okay, you ready? This is amazing. Let's see if it's coming up. Yes, here it is. So I'm going to screen share it with you. Here we go. $1.4 million was this collection of photographs from Yerushalayim from the 19th century. Look at these pictures. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit. People walking to the Kotel, if you could see it. This is from the Bar magazine. Look at the pictures of the Kotel. 1870s, excuse me. People davening at the Kotel, courtesy of Sotheby's. Unbelievable. That's what we mean when we say Yerushalayim represents Netzach. That like Malchus Beis David, it's always there, even though it may have disappeared momentarily. That's why the Rambam teaches us, perhaps, that Yerushalayim's Kedusha is never gone. It's always there. And the Kosel always has the Kedusha behind it. And that means that each one of us, because we have a spark of Netzach within us, that even if maybe we're going through a period that's broken or struggling or down or lost, Rahman al-Islam, but we always have Netzach. Netzach is this dominating force, this life force, this eternal force within us that says that we can persevere, that will always make that comeback. Yerushalayim, it makes the comeback because it has a life force, it has the Shekhinah that says nothing will keep it down. It will always come back. And perhaps that's why we always come back to this theme of Lashana Haba Yerushalayim. Because even if we're knocked down right now, the Shekhinah ain't a betela. We're going to get back up and we're going to, with the force of the Shekhinah, we're going to tap in to that non-stop commitment, that overwhelming force, the concept of Netzach. So Yerushalayim, Zu Netzach, Netzach Zu Yerushalayim, is because there is this permanence, there is this fixed element. So each one of us, when we're thinking about that Yerushalayim within us, we can tap into it during this difficult time. I wish all of us a good day, a healthy week, stay safe, and Emir Hashem, we will continue to learn together, please God, next week. I'll send out the Mar Makomos Emir Hashem in advance. I look forward to seeing you, and thank you for joining. V'hanetzach ze Yerushalayim.